Yeah, what you do is you tell him, okay, let's have a fair trade. You tell me what you want to tell me, but you have to let me explain my side so that you understand. And then that way, then in future, you pave the road for ground rules to play this work game.
And God will use you to transform me, to bring him back to you.
And that way he learns about you, he learns about your belief, right? And then he will actually respect you for your position, and then it might improve your work relationship, because now he knows what you stand for, that you follow God, and that so he won't give you jobs or ask you to do something that's not related to or that doesn't line up with your belief system.
Welcome to JBC Podcast Season 6, Episode 3. Sorry a bit because I'm editing in the midday, and usually at this time I usually get really sleepy, so my voice may sound a bit slower and also more, drowsy. So in this episode we're going to talk about what does it mean to submit and to have authority in a workplace. At the same time, what do we do when there's a dynamic between a wife and a husband in marriage? What does submission mean to a husband and a wife? What does authority mean to a family? We also encountered today's hottest topic is what happens when a wife refuses to submit to her husband's authority as is written in the scripture, and what does it mean to take leadership at home and also at church. So I hope that gets you a bit excited, and we will wait no more. Let us get started in 3, 2, 1. Let's go.
When you see me in certain position that I'm not meant to be, and you walk up to me and say, John, that is not right. That, I consider it love for me, because you are trying to make me a better person. That is love for me. But when you come to me and say, oh, John, I love you, but it's all right. You will do better some other time. No, I know that you don't love me because you are not telling me the truth that I should know. Then I can't become a better person. I'm actually degrading. And if I'm degrading, how is your love helping me? Because your love now is sending me to the rabbit hole that I shouldn't be. So I love people that are bold enough to walk up to me and say, John, you are doing the wrong thing. This is what I think. How about this? I love you because you've seen through me. You know that I'm doing something that is not right, that is not in line with the kingdom of God and His righteousness, and you are trying to bring me back to reality. That is love for me. But when you come to me and say, it's all right, you just fell, you slept with one girl. There are tons of people that slept with so many people. You just had one cup of rum. It's okay. Many people had a bottle of rum. But you're not helping me. You're actually sending me into places that I shouldn't be. The majority of time you exercise love, people go, oh, he loves me. No, he's sending you to your grave. He's sending you to your grave. Yeah,
the world has twisted the word love, actually.
Exactly.
So when we look in the Bible, it says that God is love, and how does God love us? He sacrificed His Son for us. So love is also sacrifice.
Right.
Well. And how does Jesus love His disciple in the world? So Jesus didn't always agree with the disciples. He always speaks out.
Correct them.
He speaks out and corrects them. And he always takes action toward the wrong evildoers also.
Right.
So we must also be
Yeah.
So like Ashley said, we must be vocal. But I have one question actually. So how can we submit to a wrong leadership? For example, in the office, there's like one manager who I work for. So he isn't in line with the Bible. Maybe he could be a LGBT community, and how can we submit to him? I think it's easy. We can speak out if you're a friend.
Right.
Easy, but if that person is your leader, is your manager, especially in the office, how can we tell them the truth? How can we approach them?
Well, in that case, as as Jesus said, give unto Caesar what belongs to Caesar. So if he gives you lawful commands related to your job, obviously you have to obey, because that's your job. That's why they pay you. They pay you to do your job. So he can give you instructions to do your job, and you do it well. You obey him well, and you do your job to the best of your ability, because that's what God requires of you, right? So you obey all his commands to do your job, right? Now, when it comes to stuff outside of work, which is where the problem would be, he's no more has authority over you. Jesus is your authority, right? But in your workspace, he's the authority, you obey him. But outside of your work, then Jesus is your authority and you obey God. So that's where you can get an opportunity to relate to him, or to give him a little bit of God's truth, you know. So you can help him, you can be an influence for good in his life. And by your example, maybe you can lead him to Christ. So somehow if the situation does not avail itself, so God can prompt you to make a situation for that, because as long as you are willing to speak, guess what? God will make the situation available that you can use words that he puts in your mouth, right? So that's what I believe. So if you are willing, God will make a way for you to give this person, your boss, his word, because his words are true. His words are life-changing and life-giving. So you don't have to worry too much about the words that you speak, right? But obviously it's wise to read the Bible, know your Bible, so you can give him those words of wisdom. I mean, you don't have to do it in an authoritative way, because he's your boss. You can just say, well, you know, I disagree with you or something, but this is what our Bible teaches us. So in a practical way, I think you have to, when you ask me the question, yes, you have to obey all his lawful command as relates to your job, you know, because you can't tell you, if he gives you instruction, you can't say no, you can't, you have to do your job.
But outside of job, what if he tries to share his worldview to you?
Because that's your opportunity. He opened the door for you. So as soon as he starts to share his worldview, that's your opportunity to give him the word. Give him
respectfully.
Your opportunity to tell him about Jesus.
Yeah, what you do is you tell him, okay, let's have a fair trade. You tell me what you want to tell me, but you have to let me explain my side so that you understand. And then that way, then in future, you pave the road for ground rules to play this work game.
And God will use you to transform me, to bring him back to you.
And that way he learns about you, he learns about your belief, right? And then he will actually respect you for your position. And then it might improve your work relationship, because now he knows what you stand for, that you follow God, and that so he won't give you jobs or ask you to do something that's not related to or that doesn't line up with your belief system.
And one point on top, pray. Never cease praying. Just pray and pray and pray. All right, let's change the trajectory from leadership into another core aspect of our life as men, which is family. So in Ephesians 5:20-22, Paul emphasizes that wives submit yourself unto your husband as you do to the Lord, which is God has chosen man to be the head of the family down the line. So the question is, how should we react if our wives do not want to submit to us, considering our position as the head of the family?
Extremely difficult, because I've experienced it myself. It's not easy. It's rather difficult, because all it ends up is arguments and argument upon arguments. Because I mean, I know what God requires of us as husbands, to be the head of the woman in the house.
Yeah.
And the problem is I knew that, but I wasn't a Christian per se.
That's what I wanted to pinpoint.
A Bible, I wasn't a Holy Spirit-filled
Right,
Christian.
right,
I was just a
right.
Christian who knew
The Bible.
the Bible, and I had knowledge of that, and I knew that I'm supposed to be the head of the house,
Correct.
and I tried to be that authority, but I was always I was usurped, I should say. My kingdom collapsed all around me. Yeah, so I had a very difficult marriage in that my wife wanted to control things, so it was rather difficult, and it ended up to a lot of arguments, which helped to bring my marriage down, at the end. So no, it wasn't easy. It takes two always, to in a marriage. It's just not one person, me
Correct.
trying to be the head,
Correct.
because they try and, well, my wife pushed the boundaries. She wanted to do everything her way or the highway for me, and in the end it was the highway for me. So no, it's not easy. So see, a marriage is, people forget, it's not a two-way thing, it's a three-way thing. It's God has to be in the marriage, or else the marriage is going to fail.
God is the hub.
Yeah. So we got to first submit to God before we can have a happy marriage. So, and it's got to be, the husband and wife submitting to God, which makes a happy marriage. And I didn't submit to God too much, but I wanted to have authority in my home, which my wife also didn't submit to God, and so she didn't submit to me, basically.
Right.
She would submit in some things, but in other things she would push back. So the result is unhappy marriage, So
I
it
didn't
doesn't
have
work.
that problem. My wife, we were both Christians when we went through university. We were married in the church. We had our 3 children at that time were baptized in the church.
Right.
I can only remember in the 12 years that I was married to my first wife that we argued 3 times.
What? You can count it?
I can count.
Oh my
That was
goodness.
how few they were.
Wow.
But the difference was that rather than just taking parts of Ephesians, if you follow in the next 5 verses, it says, husbands, treat your wife as Christ loves the church.
Yes.
And so it's a matter of give and take. And I think that's where my marriage was different, because I knew marriage was a matter of give and take. And so whenever my wife was angry, I wasn't angry. When she was angry, I wasn't angry. And the only times that we did get angry, it only lasted most probably about half an hour, and that was the end of it.
Wow.
So as perfect marriages go, before I destroyed it, it was a marriage filled by the grace of God, by the Holy Spirit. But what broke it was because my direction of what I wanted and what I actually needed departed from God's way. And so that resulted in my marriage breaking up. It broke it up because most young people, when they're in love and you first start a family, everything is working together. But as you get into your 30s and you decide that you want to become the head of the family and exercise your authority, then you start to build for the future. And you use that building for the future to excuse yourself from building the family as well, because that's the important part, that you need to be involved in the family. And so this is what I left behind. And because of that, this is why my family broke up. Because then I treated the business more important than the family, and the business distracted me from the family and offered me temptation that I didn't have in the family, and that's what caused the breakdown.
Yeah, well, every person's different, and every situation is different.
Exactly.
Yes.
So
I had
there's no one solution fits everything,
With my ex-girlfriend, we got on perfectly well. I don't speak too much. I only speak when I have something to say, and she loves that. However, because I was trying to chase something I don't have, because I was thinking of the future, I let down things that God has put in my care. And because of that, I got carried away, and I feel like devil crept in and kind of like messing up with her mind, exposing her to so many irrelevant things that she doesn't care about. She never even wanted to have anything to do with that. Why? Because I have been away absent-minded towards a need. I was just focused on getting my business right, getting the money in, so that I can take care of her the way I wanted. Whereas God was pointing out, no, I've given you all that you needed, which is myself in between two of you. It doesn't matter whether you have abundance or whether you just have a little. I've given you all that you needed. Myself in between two of you. Funny enough, the first alphabet of our middle name starts with J. She is Janessa, I am John, and we'll put Jesus in between. But I mess it up.
Triple J.
Because I was so focused. I spent more than 16 hours on my computer, handling this, handling that, talking to this, talking to that, and that. Barely had enough time for her. And that led to that. So reflecting on that, and when I listen to your word of advice, always take me to that moment, and it brings you to a position of humbling myself, seeking forgiveness from the Lord, and at the same time praising Him for helping me to come back to reality before I go into another one. To know that these things, you don't mess up with it. You don't run after things that doesn't really matter, and leave behind things that do matter. Because family is the institution established by God, and if you are going into it, your head must be right. Yeah, that's what I take from it. But let's come back to. I want to give you different cases right now. Like, should a man ever be in a position where he doesn't want to lead?
Well, I don't think so.
Because
I think just God's given us that authority. It's a God-given authority that comes natural.
Yeah.
And for a man to abdicate shows weakness, I think. It's not what God calls us to be.
You mean weakness in the sense that he's not respecting the will of the Father?
Yeah. Because God made us the head of the house. So we have to work with that authority that God has given us to be an example to our children. And so anything other than that is failure. It's not who God called us to be. So I think men have to take authority in home first, and then in the church as well, because too often, I know the previous churches that I attended, there were not enough men taking leadership roles. I was guilty of the same. The woman had to do the jobs in the church because there weren't enough men available to take
Actually,
these
you hit the
positions.
nail on the head, though, that it's a lot of women that take leading roles in the church because they're more aware of what is the need in the church. Now, when we talk about marriage, you're not married to a Vietnamese. I am. And whenever, for example, whenever we do something in church and we're in the front of the church, for example, our last wedding anniversary, you'll notice that my wife said to me, Hudson, stand here. No, do that, do this, that, because she's taking the lead. Now, this is normal for Vietnamese women to take the lead. Now, she's taking the lead, which is quite normal. But actually, she knows I'm the boss. But she will do that because she regards that part of housekeeping, which I acknowledge. I don't worry about that because it doesn't usurp my authority as being the breadwinner from the family, or as being the prime example, as being the Godhead of the family. But for her, it gives her a position of, I treat her as an equal, and if she makes a decision, I'm quite happy to go along with it because she understands what I want in making that decision. But then it's important that you work together as a godly team to come to that decision.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what I'm hearing now is that it's possible sometimes that men should be passive with the idea of not wanting to lead. In the case of culture, especially in this country, right?
Actually, a good leader doesn't do all the time. A good leader delegates.
Okay.
That's a sign of a good leader.
Okay.
That he doesn't have to do it himself. He delegates somebody to do it, and the other person does it. So in the marriage, husband and wife team, there are different roles for different folks, you know. So everybody has got a role to play, and a woman has a leadership role in some things, and the man has the leadership role in certain aspects. So it depends on the task
Yeah.
at hand.
Yeah.
Who's best
Yeah.
for the task?
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. That we sort of like perfectly slick into everything. Well, let's just take out of the blue moon, like a man just doesn't want to take a lead or take any leadership responsibility. What should happen? Be it in the family or in the church or even in the company, when the so-called leadership just decided that no, I don't want to lead. In the business, it rarely occurs because once you're a leader, you know that your function is leader. You have to lead. But in the aspect of church, ministry, and at home, where a man doesn't want to lead, he doesn't want to take up
Too lazy
any
sometimes,
relationship. Yeah. So for one reason or the other, what should happen? What should happen?
Because what it can be is that the woman is got a better job and earns more money than the man.
Exactly.
And then she takes like a superior role in the household because she thinks she's the one that's the breadwinner.
Exactly.
And then she might be more wanting to usurp your role as the head of the house because she feels
she's earning more money.
I'm earning more money than you.
You clean.
Yeah.
I cannot be doing the
You
chore.
must wash the dishes and look after the kids.
You must be the helper. Why I be the Adam at
As
home?
the head of the house, because God created man before woman,
Right.
but He created the woman for the companionship of the man. There is still a hierarchy that the man needs to establish, that he is actually the decision maker in the house, regardless of the spokesman for the decision maker. Do you understand what I mean?
Right.
So the husband, he can set the rules and the guidelines, and the wife can be the spokesman to follow those rules and the guidelines.
Right.
So it's not as though he's being weak by not exerting his authority, it's just he's being weak by not being vocal. Do you understand that?
I think so.
Then if you understand that, explain to me. Because it's important. When you try to understand a concept, if you can't explain the concept back, it's a problem. But the thing is that if I want to get something done, like Ashley says, proper leadership is done by giving some people, by what do you call it?
Delegation.
Delegation.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's only by delegation that you'll succeed. You can do everything yourself.
Yeah.
But then it becomes everything yourself. But by delegation, you set the rules, you set the plan, and then everybody else will follow that.
Right.
But if somebody doesn't follow that plan, then you come back again and say, hey, we had the rules for this, we had the rules for this, and you're not following it. So you become the administrator for making that delegation. So that's really how it works. That you may be silent, but you're actually the silent majority that still makes the decision which way the boat is going to turn. So I don't think it's a shame that a man should be quiet, but he needs to be authoritative.
Okay.
Authoritative.
Yeah. He mustn't abdicate his authority.
That's right.
That's given to him by God,
Yes,
right?
yes.
It's for everyone. It applies to all mankind.
Right.
God has made him the head. It's not by
So
choice.
You cannot.
You don't have a
cannot
choice in
escape
it.
You don't have a choice.
You don't have a choice.
You just have to exercise it.
That's it. You have to take. Yeah.
I'm a position of leader, and I will take the concept of Ashley and Hudson and say, oh, we just delegate. So I tell my wife to do this, I tell my kids to do this, I tell my family to do this, and I would just cross my leg on the couch and just be watching Liverpool all day long.
Oh, then you become a dictator.
So what you say to them?
Only if you're watching Tottenham Hotspur. If it's Liverpool, then definitely not allowed.
So what should we say to them? Like, dude, what are you doing?
No, that's not leadership.
Okay.
That's not taking leadership.
What will you say to that person?
No, that's not leadership. Sorry. You said before a good leader like Christ came to serve, washing the feet of his disciples. So that's how a good leader should be. So we just can't take the leadership role and not accept the responsibility. Actually, being the leader has huge responsibility. Right. It's not an easy thing to be a leader,
right?
Because you will be judged more harshly than a normal person.
Yes.
Because you now become the leader, So your judgment is much harsher. So it comes with huge responsibility. So we can't just take that lightly. So we have to be the example. We got to set the example. We got to be the example. So that others can follow in our footsteps.
Yeah.
So big responsibility, guys.
So yeah, as a leader,
Don't take it lightly.
Yeah, so it's as a leader, I agree with all of you saying that we need to delegate the tasks. But another most important thing is, as a leader, we need to take initiatives too. Like whatever we do, leader must lead and do initiatives. Like you said, we shouldn't just delegate all those tasks to others and watch Liverpool. So yeah, we need to take initiatives. And I think in the context of I've never been married before, so I have only a limited knowledge about this topic. So but still let me try. So in the context of marriage, I think we need to be very careful when we talk about submission to each other. So sometimes it can be seen as like men are better than women. So actually it's not, men are not better than women. We are equal in God's eye. It's just different roles.
Correct.
Different roles. So in the Bible it says that man is the head, and the wall will say that if man is the head, wife is the neck. So the neck controls the
Exactly.
Yeah.
In the Bible it also says that wife is the crown in the head or something. In the Proverbs it says that if we want our wife to submit to us, we need to submit to God first.
Good, amen.
If we are not submitting to God, we cannot expect our wife to submit to us, right? So,
Why so though? Why so?
Because we need to be a good example why our wives should follow us, right? If we are doing bad things, if we are being a bad example, obviously our wives are not gonna respect us.
But can I just chip in there?
Yeah.
The command is to the wife as well.
Right.
Wives, obey your husbands.
Right.
The command is not, wives, obey your husbands if they are good leaders, if they are good husbands, and etc. etc.
Right.
There's no caveat there.
Right.
So I'm just pushing back on what you were saying is the commandment is to the wife to obey your husband irrespective
Of
what the husband is. It could be the worst husband going. But the commandment to the wife is to obey her husband, right? So she's got a responsibility to obey God, not her husband. And in obeying her husband, she's actually obeying God. She's not to see herself as obeying her husband. She needs to see herself
as obeying God.
as obeying God. You see?
Yeah.
That's how she should be. So you putting caveats on the husband's behavior, and you got to be a good husband and you got to be a godly man before the husband obeys you. I don't agree with that.
But the verse just doesn't stop there. Like, why?
I understand that, right?
kept
But
going.
what I'm trying to say is that there's no caveat on the wife's behavior.
Right.
She needs to obey God and obey her husband.
That's it for today, and I hope that you enjoyed the episode so far. We still have one more left, so hang on to me. It's only one more episode. And to end today, I would love to conclude with a Bible verse from 1 Corinthians chapter 16 verse 14. Do everything in love. So I think I just want to spend this week to examine our heart, or during the episode to examine our heart. Like, do we do everything with the motives of loving God and loving others? And our media director Bobby has been pressing me to say this, and I totally forgot, but there must be like a call to action at the end. So this is our call to action. Please like, subscribe, and leave a comment if you find it interesting. If not, please do so to support us, because every little gestures that you are showing your kindness to us gonna encourage us and also help us to move forward in our journey to bring more content like this in the future. So thank you so much, and hope to see you soon.